Have you noticed how people introduce themselves nowadays? If you go to a party or someone new arrives at work, they walk into a room and say something like, "Hi, I'm Alistair. I'm really into snowboarding and I'm vegan." Or, "Hello, I'm Karen. I'm from Singapore. I'm a graphic designer and I'm paleo. This is my girlfriend Julie. She's a free diver and she's pescatarian." Already, you are making judgments about these people based on what they eat. Just like we wear name badges at a conference like this, our food choices are a label we use to show people who we are. So today, I want to ask, how should we eat? How should we introduce ourselves to the rest of the world? I'm really interested in food and the impact it has on the planet. So I know what we shouldn't eat. We probably shouldn't eat too much meat. I'm sure those of you who watch a lot of TED Talks on the environment have seen this slide before. It shows that the proportion of the world's global emissions from livestock, that's the energy used to raise a cow, as well as the methane that comes out the front and back ends, makes up more than all the world's transport put together. As an environmental writer, this concerns me a great deal. If I want to save the planet, and I do, I should be vegetarian, right? It's a no-brainer. But I'm also a farmer's daughter, and I see a lot of people I love raising livestock with care for the environment and for the welfare of those animals. I've also seen examples where animals have been controlled, like red deer, to allow the regeneration of the forests. I'm happy eating what I consider to be ethical meat like that. So I decided I only want to eat meat like that, and the best way to make sure is to only eat animals I kill myself. I'll give you a minute to take that in. It was a pretty radical move. I did it for 2 years. And I learned a lot. I learned what it's like to shoot and skin and gut and eat a rabbit. And I learned what it's like to sit in a wood crying because you've caused the death of an animal, and to take responsibility for the meat we eat. The biggest animal I killed was a stag with my father. And I learned a lot about myself, about my relationship with nature, and about my dad too. I also visited farms around the country in Europe to see how we raise animals, and I visited abattoirs to see how we slaughter animals. And there's no nice way to describe that, but that's the reality of where our meat comes from, and I felt people ought to know. At the end of all, I wrote a book called The Ethical Carnivore, and my conclusion was we should all be eating less and better meat. I think it struck a chord. It did quite well. People do want to know where their meat is from. And then this strange thing started to happen. People started coming up to me and saying, "Louise, how should I eat?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm just a hack. I'm a journalist. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a chef. I'm not even a particularly good cook. I mean, I have some dishes, but you know." And I realised they're frightened. They're scared. It's a scary world. Food is the only thing you can control. So I thought, maybe I can think of some labels. Things like weekday vegetarian explains itself. Reducitarian, you're reducing your meat. Or flexitarian, which you perhaps have heard of. But I just don't feel comfortable with labels. How many students do you know who don't get up before 11 a.m? Okay, quite a few. But it can't be all of them, because some of you are here today. We rarely conform to labels in real life. So why should we in how we eat? I started to think about the real reasons we eat what we do. And in the digital world, it's often your phone. How many times have you been in the supermarket and seen someone looking at their phone and buying asparagus or something recommended by a celebrity chef rather than what's in season, or reading the feed of a fitness guru even though they're not a qualified nutritionist? Or how many times have you been in a restaurant and seen people choosing a dish because it photographs well? Increasingly, we're choosing our food relying on the appendages in our pockets. But here's the thing. Instagram can tell you what looks good, but it can't tell you what tastes good. Twitter can tell you what's fashionable, but it can't tell you what's nutritious. MyFitnessPal can tell you how many calories are in a dish, but it can't tell you the energy you need for the afternoon. Yet increasingly, that's what we use. And again, I can understand that. Food's like a new religion. Where do we go on Sunday? We go to the farmer's market or a restaurant. We're constantly looking around us to see what other people are eating. What's the most common post on Instagram? Food. And the most common photo? You got it, avocado on toast. I've done it myself. And I can see why people do that. A lot of young people today aren't going to be able to afford their own homes. They'll struggle to pay off their student loans. Food's the one thing you can afford to show off about. Lots of new trends have emerged. Things like clean eating, plant-based, vegan before 6, Atkins, high carb, low carb. I could go on all day. And that's fine if it suits you, if you do a little bit of research and make sure you're getting the right nutrients. But it is difficult for some people. The NHS have reported a rise in anorexia in the under-19s. The Royal College of Psychiatrists acknowledge a link between viewing a lot of media and the risk of eating disorders. So here I am in a position where people are asking me, how should I eat? And I'm thinking, it's not just that labels are restrictive, I think they might be dangerous. So I thought, I'm going to do something radical again. I'm going to tell the truth about what I eat. And I thought about my own food history. I thought about being a child in the 80s and eating butterscotch mousse, Angel Delight, and Findus crispy pancakes, and all those comfort foods. I thought about sharing a room with a girl and her eating cheese and onion crisps in bed and hating them ever since. I thought about being a teenager and hating my body, yo-yo dieting into my 20s. And I thought about recovering from that and learning to love my body. I thought about being at university and eating nothing but hummus on toast for 3 years. And I thought about being a journalist and saving money on food so I could spend it on booze. And I thought about going to Africa for the first time and trying mangoes when I was 19. And I thought about falling in love for the first time and a breakfast of fresh walnuts and bacon. And I thought about becoming a food writer and thinking I have to be perfect, I have to eat clean, and how hungry and inadequate that made me feel. And back like I felt as a teenager. And I thought about discovering food writers who really spoke to me, like MFK Fisher and B. Wilson, and deciding to embrace hunger and see food as a way to evoke memories and make friends. And I thought about cooking shortbread for my fellow TEDers this morning and how proud that would make my grandmother. It's her recipe. All these food experiences have made me who I am. I don't want to be restricted by a label. I want to use food to express myself, to explore my environment, to nurture my body, to comfort those I love, and yes, to try and make the world a better place. So I don't have a problem with vegan or organic. As I say in The Ethical Carnivore, if you want to reduce your carbon footprint, one of the easiest things you can do is cut down on animal products. But I do have a problem with defining your lifestyle, your character, your very soul by what you eat. You are more than what you eat. According to research at the University of Belfast, taste starts in the womb. Babies are more likely to respond positively to food their mothers ate when she was pregnant. It's also about physiology. There's some amazing research going on at the moment at the University College London into the gut microbiome and how we all have individual gut microbiomes. So if there are any identical twins in the audience, you might look the same on the outside, but on the inside you're different. You crave different foods. In the same way, we live in different environments. I would suggest if you live somewhere where they can only grow grass, you're as well eating grass-fed beef as importing plant protein from abroad. But if you live in central LA, you might as well eat amazing vegan food. So I don't know a label that suits everyone, even if I wanted to. And I don't, because I think you should work it out for yourself. You don't need a label, you need knowledge. That's what I tried to do in the Ethical Carnivore. I visited chicken farms in Devon and pig farms in Denmark, so people have all the information. But I feel fundamentally uncomfortable in telling people how to eat. I feel they should make the choice for themselves with the right information. People say, that's a bit woolly. We can't make a difference unless we unite under one label. But something is only powerful if it's true. If you decide to make a change because you saw it on Twitter, it's not going to last. But if you decide to eat free-range chicken because, like me, you've seen the difference between a barn-reared chicken and free-range, then it's going to last a lifetime. We also need to understand labels. So you need to do a little bit of research. You need to decide the labels you trust, like Marine Stewardship Council or Soil Association. I know it's a bit of work. It's much easier to tap a button on your phone than to do all that research. But you can look at things like Compassion in World Farming website, which shows you what each label means. Food is complex, but it's also incredibly exciting to speak to farmers and scientists and find out where your food is from. Believe me, I've just spent 2 years investigating where meat comes from. I'm currently looking into our fruit and veg. It's fascinating stuff. So being honest about your personal tastes, educating yourself, and understanding your body is so much more powerful than a label. I cannot tell you how to eat. A book cannot tell you how to eat. A label cannot tell you how to eat. Your phone cannot tell you how to eat. Tell your own food story, because stories are powerful, and they're beautiful, and they're complex. They're full of joy and pain and lots of mistakes. Stories are how we work things out, and they are always unique.